So what happens is whenever a state changes, our whole application is going to re-render. So we're going to use this to our advantage. The useState is going to take in one input. The input is going to be the initial value of our state. In our case, we're going to set it to an empty array. And later on, we're going to update the state to store the different tasks we have in our database. And whenever there are changes to the tasks like editing and removing, since that is considered as the state changing, it's going to trigger our application to re-render and show the updated values. Now the second hook we're going to look at is the useEffect hook. So first we're going to import it. The useEffect hook is going to allow us to control how many times a certain piece of code is going to be run. In our case, we're going to use it to send a GET request to our server. The reason we put this inside a useEffect is that we only want to get all the tasks in our server once in our application. If we were not to use the useEffect hook, and if we simply place the GET request in our code, every time there is a state change, we're going to be sending a request to our server again and again, which is not efficient. So we're going to place our GET request inside a useEffect. Now to use a useEffect, we're going to have useEffect, and it's going to take in two arguments. The first is going to be a callback function. Whatever code we want to control is going to be placed inside the callback function. And the second argument is a dependencies array. In our case, we're going to leave it empty, but inside the dependency array, we can pass in different states, and if and only if those states change, the callback in our useEffect is going to execute. For example, if we placed tasks inside the dependency array, whenever the task state changes, the code inside our callback would execute. But in our case, we only want the code inside useEffect to execute once in the initial render. So we're going to leave the dependency array empty, and inside the callback function, we're going to have our code. Now the operation we're going to perform is an asynchronous operation, but one rule we must remember is that we cannot make the callback function of useEffect async. So to get around this, we're going to define another function inside the useEffect. So we're going to have const, we're going to call it getData. It's going to be async. And whenever we're dealing with async operations, it's always a good idea to include a try-catch block. So we're going to have try. And inside the try block, we're going to use the Axios library. So we're going to have Axios.